Are you servicing your vehicle properly? I highly doubt that. Service is a really important thing to keep your vehicle running in top condition. So today, we're going to find out what you ignore when you perform a service on your car with our test subject, the car. To perform your proper service, you'll need quite a few things. You'll need all the fluids you may have to top up, like the oil for your oil change. You'll also need an oil filter, a tire inflator to check your tire pressures and inflate them, a small screwdriver to check the condition of your brake rotors, an oil filter tool to remove your oil filter, but that's kind of up to your discretion based on where the location of your oil filter actually is. This is what's convenient for me, but this may not be what's convenient for you. And the appropriate wrench size for your drain plug, as well as a drain pan, a jack or ramps, and maybe a mat to lay down on if you care that much. With that being said, let's get into it. Well, as we walk around the vehicle, inspecting for any minor or major defects, like this dent or this side skirt that keeps sagging, or this trim that keeps popping out more and more often, we could discuss service interval. What does service interval mean to you? Well, if you've got something that's high mileage, or maybe high performance, or maybe, mid-grade performance, you'll want to be doing services, specifically engine oil changes, more often, because your oil is most likely exposed to more heat than other average vehicles, and more wear due to more friction or whatever other causes you may have. In this case, this is a higher mileage automobile. I do every 5,000. But my go-to with any vehicle would be to check the service manual, which usually is in your car unless you don't have that, and take whatever the manufacturer recommends and cut that in half. Because don't you forget, the manufacturer is out for your money. It's not profitable to tell you how to maintain your car to a 100% standard, but it sure is profitable to make you ruin it very slowly over time. So, with that being said, let's get a light check going. Upon entering the car, go ahead and turn all your lights on. Turn on your hazards. And just go ahead and get out. Take a look around. Turn signal works. Headlight works. Marker works. Same for this side. Have a walk around to the back of the car. This taillight seems to be working. And so is this one. Now, if you don't have a second person laying around, just to give you a quick hand, something I suggest for the next portion is grab yourself a brick. Now with your brick, turn your markers off and leave it on your brake pedal. Take a walk around the car and check to see that your brake lights are working. They sure seem to be over here. Now that you've gone ahead and checked your brake lights, pop the car into reverse. Not every vehicle will do this, but come around to the back and check to see that your reverse lights are working. Some vehicles will require it to be running, but not all. As a quick final portion of your light check, you'll want to go ahead and check if your high beams actually work. So, a good way to do that is to point the vehicle at any surface. Could be a garage door, the wall of your house, or, just get out and check Hard to tell in the video, but both of these do seem to be working correctly. With the light check out of the way and the car in a better location, we can go ahead and pop the hood and jack it up and get ready for our oil change. Another thing that's really good to verify before you start actually changing your oil and draining it is verify your dipstick. Check your level. Does your car burn oil? Because it does seem like this does. So I'll have to keep an eye on that in the future. Now that your drain plug's out and your oil's been drained, leave it open like that for a little while you check the other things on your vehicle, just to ensure you get the maximum amount of used oil out of your oil pan, because it'll drip for a long time like this. Any little bit will help you in the long run. With that being said, the next thing you should be checking is your tire pressures. These tires happen to recommend 44 PSI. I'm at 35 on this one, so I'm pretty happy with that. That's 44 max, so I like to stay about 10 under maximum. Now that your tire pressures are good, go ahead and come to the engine bay of your vehicle and check your fluid levels. Brake fluid looks pretty good, but upon inspection, it's pretty dark. I will probably flush this out eventually, but I'm not that pressed about it because, well, I don't really care that much, but you should. You should. This is not 100% science here. Power steering fluid is a little over full, but that's because there's a pinhole in one of the power steering lines, so I like to keep it a little bit above max. Overflow looks to be at a perfect level, actually, and a pretty healthy color. Oh, this lid's got messed up threads a bit. And last but not least, check your transmission fluid level. Now, I'm not sure what the procedure is on these, but the dipstick usually says. If you go ahead and take a look right there, it says, check when hot, idling in park. So we'll go ahead and do that once we have some engine oil here. Now, with most of the fluid levels in my engine bay checked, excluding the transmission fluid level, we'll go ahead and check the air filter. Pop the clips off. A lot of people will, they'll pop it open like this, take a look under there, and they'll go, oh yeah, that looks pretty clean. But if you actually take a second and look at how this operates, that's your intake, which means this is the clean side. This is after the air's been filtered. Dirt and everything will accumulate on this side. These fins here are called pleats. So you can go ahead and spread these open. Take a look in there. This isn't the worst I've seen, but it's definitely not the best. Now, I would have picked up a new filter, but when I went to the parts store on Friday, they didn't have one. So I went ahead and ordered one. I'm just waiting on that. Another good thing to keep up with, and go ahead and buy yourself one of these cans, is battery sealer. It's pretty much just a little spray that you put on your terminals to prevent rot, and rot will cause poor connection and eventually leading to hard starts or no starts, or a list of other issues like grounding problems and power distribution issues. So you want to make sure that you've got some pretty clean battery terminals. Another key inspection point that you'll want to take note of is the condition of your belt. Now, in this engine's case, there's only one belt. Some motors will have two and even more belts, but the key thing you want to take a look at is there any cracking going on the inside, and you want to see if your belt tension is okay. So what you'll want to do to figure out if your belt tension is okay is take the longest distance between pulleys, which on this car is alternator to power steering. Check the deflection in it. Can you push the belt more than an inch away? That seems like a little over ½ inch to me. So that's pretty good deflection there. Now, a final thing you want to take a look at is how straight are the pulleys on there? Do any of them seem like they're, hanging off a little bit or not quite aligned? Because you really don't want to skip a belt. Then you're not charging, then you got a dead battery, then you're on the side of the road calling everybody you know for a jumper pack or something to get yourself home. Or worse, you don't know anybody in the area and a tow truck will be coming to get you. But all these pulleys look straight, the belt looks healthy, so I'm happy with that. Now that you've gone ahead and walked around most of your vehicle and seen almost everything you need to inspect, and your oil's been draining for a little while, go ahead and remove your old oil filter. If you're not stuck in a predicament like me where it won't come off. Well, now that you got your filter removed, go ahead and pop your new one on. Once you've got your new filter, grab yourself just a bit of used oil, and obviously make sure you lubrify the gasket around it. And on some oil filters, they'll even have an internal gasket right around here where it mounts to the block. So lube that as well if you've got one. We'll just go ahead and pop this on. On a small filter like this, I'd say hand tight is pretty good. But that also depends on your grip strength and your ability to turn a filter, right? That's pretty tight right there, just like that. I feel confident leaving that the way it is and not putting a tool on it. Another good thing to check while you're just about wrapping up under the car is, do you have any leaks? So in my case, I know that right there is wet because I just removed the oil filter. But I do happen to notice that this power steering line here is a little bit sweaty because of that pinhole. So I'll make mental note of that and eventually care enough to replace this, but for now it'll be all right. As well as my transmission pan being a little bit sweaty. But this transmission is tired, so I'm not going to do anything about that. And when it blows up, I'll, give it a 5-speed or something. But outside of that, we don't appear to have any leaks, so we'll go ahead and set the car back down and top up the oil. When filling your oil, you want to go ahead and make sure you don't use a funnel, because you just got to do it the right way. Don't spill a drop. Go real slow until it starts pouring. And you could pour faster depending on how comfortable you are. Add some flair by pulling the jug away. Oh, I spilled some. I ruined everything. We're gonna lose the shop now. We're in deep trouble. This jug only had a little bit left in it, so I wanted to get through that before I got into a new jug. Where the real skill comes in is when you got to start pouring a fresh jug. You got to judge the pour way further away, right? Real slow. Oh, I spilled a little bit. We're really going to lose the shop now. Increase the speed of pour. Now that you got your engine oil in, don't forget to put your cap on and make sure it's facing the right way. Nobody wants to see this. You know it's meant to go like that. Now check your oil level. In this case, I know this is going to look very high on the dipstick because I put the recommended amount in it and the filter is not pre-filled, which means upon firing it up, I'll lose probably half a liter, something like that. So you'll wipe the stick off, you know. Pop it back in. Give it a second. Take it back out. And as you can see, yeah, we're a little over full. Right about there is where our oil level is. But I know that we'll probably have to top up a little more after we start the car and the filter actually fills up with oil. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Well, upon firing it up, you want to listen for any strange noises, ticking, knocking, clacking, any kind of sounds. If you notice those, shut it off right away. In this case, I don't hear anything. So we'll go ahead and let it run for a little bit, let the oil circulate. I usually let it come out of high idle. Now, while we're waiting for the oil to circulate and come back down to the bottom of the drain pan so we don't overfill it, I have been aware for a little while that this car needs wipers, which is also something you should check when you're servicing your vehicle. They don't look the worst, but they perform very poorly. So I went ahead and got myself some new ones, and we'll get those on right now. And on the topic of wipers, check your windshield washer fluid. I'm fairly low, but I don't happen to have any on hand, so I'll be sure to top up next time I'm in town. Now, go ahead and check the oil for the last time. And it appears, if the camera would focus, that it's a little bit low, so I'll go ahead and add maybe half a quart. And I'll proceed to leave the other half quart in the trunk of the car because now I know that it burns oil. Another thing you'll want to come ahead and check is your differential fluid level. So we've come to the rear end of the car and we'll check for leaks, you know, both sides, input seal, plug, and the other side that's behind me and not convenient to film right now. But on most differentials, your plug will either be at the back on either side where mine is, or it will be conveniently located somewhere on the front cover. I know for a fact that my differential is nice and full because I just filled it back up after I got this safetied, and I see no leaks. Therefore, all the fluid I put in is still in there. Another thing you'll want to go ahead and ensure is that your recent repairs have held up. Now, of course, this is my old fuel line that I couldn't be bothered to remove, but that's my new fuel line, and it does not appear to be wet, so we know that this repair was successful. If you look at the other end over there, very, very close to the side pipe, it is also dry, so this repair worked. which is exactly what I want to see because I am tired of fixing stuff on this car. Another key thing you want to verify about your vehicle is your brake component wear. A good way of checking, put a screwdriver on there and see if you can feel a lip right at the edge of the rotor. If not, your rotors are in pretty good condition. Now, you could go as far as pulling the wheel and inspecting the pads, but if you know they've been good and you haven't noticed a significant change in the performance of your brake pedal, I wouldn't bother. I'd suggest checking your pads every 20 to 30,000 kilometers. That's a pretty healthy interval for brake pads. And you'll usually notice your pads will last you, depending on how you drive, of course, 30 to 70,000 kilometers, if not more. It also highly depends on what your pads are composed of. But in this case, this wheel end seems fine. With all that being complete, you have successfully performed a full service on your automobile. So now your vehicle can last as long as physically possible. You probably learned something in this video, so if you did, subscribe wherever that is down there. You know what I'm doing. And yeah, thanks for watching, and take care of your cars and enjoy them. Who cares about the mileage? We're the last people to ever enjoy them because the government's going to screw us out of them. Keep that in mind. Thanks for watching.